Hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Ian McEwan, writer on TV and Satellite Week, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. And today I'll be looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday the 1st of November 2024, including the Brian Epstein biopic Midas Man on Prime Video and high-flying periods drama Pan Am on ITVX. We'll also be checking out zombie horror comedy Generation Z on Channel 4. But first, a little bit of news about a couple of popular Apple TV Plus shows. Jason Segel and Harrison Ford will be back for a third season of the comedy Shrinking, about a widowed therapist and his clients, and espionage drama Slow Horses, starring Gary Oldman, will return for a sixth run. So we're without Hannah Fernando this week, but I'm going to give you a roundup of the best binges for the weekend and the week ahead. I'm going to start on Prime Video with a feature film which arrived on Wednesday, the 30th of October. It's called Midas Man, and here's a clip.
Hello, my name is Brian Epstein.
Hello, my name is John Lennon. My name is Paul McCartney.
George Harrison, how do you do? Pete Durst. What I saw on that stage, I shall never forget it. I want to represent you, be your manager.
Well, you've got no experience, Mr. Brian.
Well, how hard can it be?
So this is a biopic about the Beatles manager, Brian Epstein, who I think his story doesn't often get that much attention in films and TV shows about the Fab Four, but he was known as the fifth Beatle. Actually, I always thought that was George Martin, but there we go. And credited with being the mastermind who turned the Liverpudlian band into a global sensation. So this stars Jacob Fortune Lloyd, who you may know from the Queen's Gambit as Epstein, and it's a very strong performance because he shows Brian's ambition and his passion for the Beatles and their music, but he also shows his vulnerable side. I mean, he was a closeted homosexual. He also developed an addiction for certain drugs. So he was troubled and he was quite lonely. We have Eddie Marsan as his father, who ran a department store in which Brian set up the music section. And it's clear that, I mean, he offered the Beatles an amazing contract, as you see in this, in which he basically said, you know, anytime you're unhappy, you can just walk away, you know, which is unheard of in the music business, which is famous for contracts that are very prejudicial to the artists. So, yeah, you see that he's a very fair man. He really believes in the Beatles. And, of course, we see him sort of hawking them around various record companies. And we see famously that the guy from Decca, played by Alex McQueen, who turned down the Beatles, saying guitar bands were on their way out. And that's how they ended up on Parlophone, which was primarily known for like comedy records, people like the Goons. And yeah, we meet George Martin. So I think it's really nicely done, actually. And it's a slightly different take. And we do have the Beatles in there. So you've got Jonas Lees is very good as Lennon, I must say. And you have Blake Richardson as Paul McCartney. You're going to come across Cilla Black as well, played by Darcy Shaw. And Epstein, he did manage other bands as well, which I wasn't aware of. Jerry and the Pacemakers, Cilla, and Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas. So if you're a music fan, if you're a Beatles fan, you will really enjoy this. But I think it's just it's a really good piece of work anyway. It's a lovely profile of a talented, driven, and troubled man. Recommended. We move across to ITVX for a new, well, it was previously shown in 2011, I have to say, but it's new to me, drama called Pan Am, and here's a clip.
Upon boarding, passengers are greeted by the international beauty and grace known as the Pan Am stewardess.
Too cute,
Are you wearing your girdle?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, congratulations. You're on the cover of Life magazine.
With a face like that, you'll find a husband in a couple of months. I'm not looking for a husband.
I hope not. You're famous now.
So yes, as I say, this previously aired on BBC Two in 2011. I certainly don't remember it, but it's set in the golden age of air travel, the 1960s, and it was touted as being quite like Mad Men, and there were some quite sniffy reviews of it, comparing it unfavourably to Mad Men. And of course, Mad Men's like one of the greatest TV series ever made. So, yeah, I don't think it got the best reception back then, but I quite like it. It's very glossy, it's very glamorous, and it's from a time when air travel was, it was exciting, and it was rather than being just the drudgery that it is today. It's got some interesting performances in it. So it's got Margot Robbie in her first major role before she went on to many other things, including Barbie, of course. And she is playing a woman who she kind of jilts her fiance at the altar and runs off with her sister to become a Pan Am stewardess. And her sister is recruited by the Secret Service because as the guy who sort of recruits her says, a stewardess can travel all around the world with no suspicion whatsoever, so she's kind of the perfect spy in a way. She's recruited by David Harbour, yes, who went on to be the sheriff in Stranger Things. So, I mean, it's not the greatest script in the world, but I love the kind of retro look and feel of it. There's some interesting storylines, and it's also kind of looking at how, I mean, it's still a very sexist world, but the stewardesses almost represent, they keep referring to them as kind of a new breed of woman, kind of taking control of their own destiny. But of course, they still have to deal with the same old sexist bullshit while doing their jobs. So I do think this is worth a look, even though it wasn't so well received first time out. And yes, I enjoyed episode 1. On Channel 4, it arrived on Sunday the 27th of October, a new horror comedy series called Generation Z or Generation Z. And here's a clip.
What's that smell?
We're missing 15 residents.
Oh my god.
Shut it down. Isolate the town.
My nan is acting really strange.
Come here, Kelly.
Oh, what's the matter with her?
I need to eat.
So yes, you've got your first 2 eps of this on Channel 4 on Sunday and Monday, but it dropped as a whole box set on Channel 4 streaming, so you can burn right through it if you like. I enjoyed episode 1. I wasn't quite sure of the tone of it, because I mean, it clearly it is a comedy. It's all about some chemical spill infects lots of pensioners who then turn into flesh-eating zombies, which, yeah, it's a great idea. But I wasn't quite sure about the tone, because I mean, there's some good storylines involving the young people who live nearby who are kind of going through various teenage angst. One of them comes from a very hard-up family. Another one, his mum has a horrible boyfriend who's a bully, a heavy drinker, he's unemployed. And there's sort of friendships and romances and all this stuff going on, and exams approaching. So there's quite a lot of serious drama in it, alongside the zombie horror stuff, which is well done, I must say. And then it manages to weave in lots of quite interesting things about this. So there are references to Brexit. There's references to kind of the baby boomer generation having it all, but the generations that followed being worse off. But I mean, where else are you going to see Anita Dobson as Johnny Vegas's mum turning into a zombie, diving headfirst through a glass coffee table, and then being shot with a crossbow? It's got lots of good stuff in it. You've also got Sue Johnston, wonderful Sue Johnston, kind of leading the pensioners who, a bit like Cocoon, they feel like they've got a new lease of life from whatever it is that's happening to them. But obviously they're being hunted down by the military because they're going on a sort of rampage. And you've also got Robert Lindsay in a bit of a throwback to the role that made him famous way back when he was Citizen Smith from Tooting, the sort of Tooting revolutionary. And in this, he's a drug dealer. He's kind of got all this hydroponics going on, and he's selling drugs to the youngsters. So it's certainly different for sure. It's an interesting mix of kind of comedy, horror, and teen drama, I guess, if you like. So yeah, I do think it's worth a look. Well, we've got to that time where I'd normally ask Hannah what she's been binge watching this week, but she's away. So I'm a sucker for a sports documentary, and I watched The Comeback 2004 Boston Red Sox. I think it's a 3-part series on Netflix, so you can rattle through it pretty quickly. And it's one of sports' great rivalries in American baseball between the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. And it was referred to as the curse, in that the Red Sox never seem to be able to overcome the Yankees. And so we get a lot of historical stuff. And then in 2004 was a very significant year. So if you're a sports fan, it's absolutely fascinating. It's really well done. And also, I mean, if you want to learn more about baseball, this is kind of a good way in, a good way to kind of get to grips with the game. And yeah, learn about, I mean, I guess it's kind of their equivalent to our Liverpool and Man U, something like that. So yes, recommended, sports fans. Now, I've just got time to look ahead to next week's offerings, which I will be discussing with Hannah. They include a landmark new wildlife series on the BBC, narrated by Sir David Attenborough, which is all about Asia. It's called Asia, and that is very, very good. We also have a true crime drama starring Anna Maxwell Martin and Sean Evans called Until I Kill You, and that is really, really good. So looking forward to telling you more about those and much, much more. But in the meantime, listeners, keep watching.